Thank you, esteemed colleagues, honorable attendees. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event and for the invitation, for the opportunities provided and for the openness shown towards the Republic of Moldova. This discussion takes place in the context of the recent adoption of extremely important decisions for our country, for Southeast Europe and the European Union as a whole. I'm referring to the decision of the EU Council in December 2023 to start accession negotiations with the Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, as well as the decision to grant candidate status to Georgia. Additionally, on February 29, the European Parliament adopted the report on deepening EU integration for future enlargement. From the outset, on behalf of the party, I have the honor to represent the National Alternative Movement. I would like to welcome the adoption of this report. I know that it was preceded by several rounds of consultations and debates within the committees of the European Parliament, within the political groups. We are aware that there are differing, even diametrically opposed opinions regarding further EU enlargement. Right-wing forces within the European Union vehemently oppose to this process. However, we believe that the accession process of the new states from Southeast Europe, including the Republic of Moldova, is inevitable and must not only be encouraged but also accelerated. Even though I do not agree with some formulations and proposals in the adopted report, I welcome its adoption and hope it will have a positive impact on the situation in the Republic of Moldova. I hope it will also serve as a wake-up call for the current authorities and the government in Chișinău. The report mentions that fundamental reforms in the judiciary, fight against corruption, media freedom and pluralism are necessarily in candidate countries. We're talking about that. It is precisely in these areas that the governing party, which seeks to monopolize the process of European integration as a theme and as a whole, has the greatest shortcomings exactly in these domains. The judiciary is still not independent of political factors. The fight against corruption is merely declarative and does not touch representatives of the governing party. And media pluralism and freedom have substantially deteriorated, and there are a lot of questions about that. Only the recent example these weeks of the failure of judicial reform is the competition for the position of Prosecutor General, which was cancelled the next day. The law and rules for this competition have been changed most frequently during the so-called reform, and anyway, this long-awaited competition race will determine, and the cancellation of the competition on the second day from the start means distrust in any person who will become Prosecutor General in such conditions. The law most frequently changed is precisely to one regarding the appointment of the Prosecutor General. On page 20 of the report, the European Parliament reiterates its position on the need for a consolidated, formal, structured and systemic way of cooperation between the EU and the Council of Europe in supporting the accession of the state in the reform process, ensuring that states respect all Venice Commission recommendations on the path to EU accession. And here I would like to emphasize once again all recommendations. In the recent years, the parliamentary majority in the Republic of Moldova systematically ignores most of the recommendations of the Venice Commission of the Council of Europe. In all European countries, practically pro-EU referendums, that's another question that is on the agenda today, of the central authorities and the ruling party, have been organized after the conclusion of negotiations, when all conditions for accession are clear. In the Republic of Moldova, it seems to be in the context of the lacking campaign teams from the ruling party, a referendum was resorted to on a day with presidential elections to influence, in a way, the vote towards one of the presidential candidates. National Alternative Movement supports the referendum, but we say that the context is very risky in case the ambitions of one person can jeopardize the course of the country and the desires of the population. We don't even want to imagine a potential no vote in the referendum because this would compromise the entire European path for the whole country. Another serious violation is the introduction or the tentative to introduce the postal voting in several countries, so very differentiated. Half a year before the electoral campaign, totally contrary to the findings of the Venice Commission. I believe that no political force in my country should monopolize the idea of European integration of the Republic of Moldova. And in this context, I would say that the Moldovan opposition, both left and center-right, together with the civil society, should stand firm and principled against the government deviations in the process of Moldova accession to the EU. For example, the political formation that I represent, the National Alternative Movement, as a center-left party supporting pro-European social democratic doctrine, has proposed and continues to insist on consolidating Moldovan society around the idea of European integration, including by proposing that Moldovan parties sign a similar act to the Snagov Pact, which was signed by Romanian political parties at the beginning of Romania's path to European Union. The fact that our political force came first in the political elections in the capital, surprising the ruling party, give us hope that the idea of consolidating society around serious reforms that should lead to an improvement in the quality of life and a rapid accession to the European Union. We understand perfectly well that ambitious plans for the accession of several states by the end of this decade require significant resources from the European Union, as well as institutional reforms at the level of the Council, Commission and European Parliament. We hope that the decision-making process, especially regarding the enlargement of the Union, will be simplified. We also hope that the change in the political configuration of the future European Parliament will not affect the political will and plans for the future EU expansion. I would also like to highlight a few important aspects for us. Following the accession process, all new member states of the European Union should have the same right at the same as the other member states of the Union. Any differentiation in right, if proposed and promoted, will be, I think, not acceptable. The accession of the Republic of Moldova to EU must be achieved only with respect for territorial integrity of the country. It is important in the context of the accession negotiations to find a durable political solution and a peaceful solution for Transnistrian question. In the coming years, it is very necessary to invest in strengthening the capacities of local administration in candidate countries. With the support of the European Union, we will achieve this result quicker. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that the accession of the EU should not depend on regional or international circumstances. Our progress on the path to EU accession must be based on a merit and concrete results. In this regard, I'm confident that the pro-European political forces in the Republic of Moldova have the capacity to accelerate the accession process, and it is important to exert pressure on the current political forces not to mimic and compromise the European integration process of the country. We count on the support of all political forces in the European Parliament in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.